Peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessings. Hope all is well. Shout out to all my troopers out there, man. I am your host, Q Bracy. And today, man, I got a tragic live stream, man. This is crazy. What just happened in Texas. We're going to get into it today for sure. You know, it's been a minute since I've been on here with y'all, man. So definitely miss y'all. Definitely happy to be back. I just been, taking some time off and putting everything in perspective, I think that's necessary. I think it's necessary to process life, put things in perspective. Got a lot of dope things we're gonna get into, moving forward. But I'm happy to be back, So that's what it is. Now, before we get into it, man, I'm gonna let us rock out on this Mos Def, this new Black Star, man. Y'all check it out.
Bismillah.
Welcome to the Black Star.
Joy and pain, coin of the realm, both sides.
Rats.
Such powerful current could make tears touch the eyes.
Facts.
Grace to every morning, God opened up mine to thine. Alhamdulillah. We all on notice that any next moment could be the last time you stand on this side. So that son, you're killing them, but only the phony because the real don't die. On God, all good for all hoods and palaces, poised throughout triumph for challenges. Top ranked up, you conquer skank, and the balance don't break for any large, small bank balances. The parable of the talented, each generation, the wonders and the wealth of all nations. It's really chump change once you take into consideration the living revelation that no soul can escape from. So go on, let a sucker say something. Cause even when it's saying something, they ain't saying much. I refrain from it all to just pray for them.
Let's
Stay
go.
away from them. Roll through a rise, raise on them.
Yeah.
Bang, shine like I'm a bay on them. Still alive, live from Memphis, son, the livest one. And King said, and even when we die, we will not stay dead. And I said what it says, so there it is. The light is not afraid of the dark at all. That part, Black Star. I want to thank you for helping me reach the understanding. The time is relative and the truth is everlasting. I want to thank you for helping me reach the understanding. The time is relative because the truth is everlasting.
That's on God. Black Star Embassy. Getting paid. Let's go.
Bismillah.
Welcome to the Black Star.
Joy and pain, coin of the realm, both
Baby,
sides.
where's your phone?
Racks.
See if you can hear.
Such powerful current could make tears touch the eyes.
Go out there and go to the YouTube channel.
Grace
I'm
to
trying
every
to
morning,
figure
God
something out.
opened up mine to thine. Alhamdulillah. We all on notice that any next moment could be the last time you stand on this side. So that son, you're killing them, but only the phony because the real don't die. Oh God, all good for all hoods and palaces, poised throughout triumph for challenges. Top ranked up, you conquer skank, and the balance don't break for any large, small bank balances. The parable of the talented, each generation, the wonders and the wealth of all nations. It's really chump change once you take into consideration the living revelation that no soul can escape from. So go on, let a sucker say something. Cause even when it's saying something, they ain't saying much. I refrain from it all to just pray for them. Stay away from them. Roll through a rise, raise on them. Bang, shine like I'm a bay on them. Still alive, live from Memphis, son, the livest one. And King said, and even when we die, we will not stay dead. And I said what it
Send me a
says,
message.
The light is not afraid of the dark at all. That part, Black Star. I want to thank you for helping me reach the understanding. The time is relative and the truth is everlasting. I want to thank you for helping me reach the understanding. The time is relative because the truth is everlasting.
That's on God. Black Star Embassy.
No fear of time.
Getting paid independent like Cinema Nouveau. Like it travels in my journal like Robinson Crusoe. Now I'm the plume, no Daniel Defoe. Encyclopedia, botanical flow. The gravity that pull a planet straight, insanity that busts open your cantaloupe flow. We the lines where the antelope roll. Brooklyn botanical gardens and stick the borders with their hands in their coat. Give up the goods, throw their hands in your throat.
Thank you.
Right? I'm making it plain and talk to them. A second on the doors, perception to walk through them. They think I'm arguing, I'm not talking to them, I talk to them. Way too many garbage humans, they raw sewage. Ashes to ashes.
SMB lock.
We going bashes, fascists, them up. It's the
That's a
powerful
nice
of the
name.
talented, powerful is the caliber. My birthday is a holiday, mark it down on your calendars. YouTube, they feeding us through a catheter. About to holla at Yasin, the mood Africa. Spectacular, false assassination character. Brooklyn got the best rappers per capita. Yeah, no lies detected. You pull it out, you better buy the weapon. Unless you influenced by the lies affected. Writing records, getting high for breakfast. I crashed my lunch, but I survived the wreckage. Until the time I was alive, cause I received the message. Heeded the lesson, cause I needed a blessing. Gave up the glory, the lies and thieves made up a story. I stood up for the people, I ain't wait till it came for me. Solidarity, and that's on God.
I wanna thank you for helping me reach the understanding. The time is relative.
We about to
and
get
the truth
into
is
it. Shout out to
everlasting.
whoever in the
I
building.
wanna thank you for helping me reach the understanding. The time is relative because the truth is everlasting.
Peace and blessings, family. Peace and blessings. Today, man, we got to get into it, man. We got to get into it. We got to dig deep. You know, that's what we do here. We dig deep. So when we talk about these issues, right, a lot of times what we don't understand is like they have a saying, the devil is in the details. The devil is in the solutions. The devil is in the solutions. See, Satan is in the solutions. Satan shouldn't be in the solutions, but Satan is in the solutions. We all can see the problem very clearly. We can all see the problem very clearly. What's the problem? Our children are unprotected. Our women are unprotected. We can all see the problem. But when it comes down to the solution, that's when you start to have a breakdown. Now we have to ask ourselves the question, how long have people had guns and did not engage in this type of behavior? See, I'm not here to pretty much play politics. First and foremost, I want to send my condolences to all the families impacted, really impacted by the shooting. It is really a tragedy. I was talking to my wife about yesterday before anything, because I used to be a school teacher and we have children in elementary. I'm like, man, these kids was getting ready to go on summer vacation. You know, I think that's important. These people was getting ready to go on summer vacation. We all know the feeling of summer vacation. It's filled with anticipation and expectations. You planning on going to see family. You got plans for the summer. You like, man, right? So the dichotomy, just losing your children, but on the last day of school, you're like, man, why couldn't we just make it to the end of the year? It's very tragic. Very, very tragic. And so I want to start off like how I usually start off with today I want to teach because that's what I do. I'm a teacher. William Cooper, Behold a Pale Horse. I want to read about 3 paragraphs from William Cooper. All right. Before reading this book, I advise you to play at least 2 complete games of chess. You must learn the rules they play by. You must realize objectively that some pieces are more valuable than others, and that the king is the most valuable of all. The king is the most valuable of all. You cannot learn reality if you get caught up in the fantasy that it's not fair. You cannot learn reality if you get caught up in the fantasy that it is not fair. You must come to know that the ultimate outcome of the game is the only thing that counts. You were lied to when you were told that it does not matter whether you win or lose. It's how you play the game. Winning in the world of elites is everything. Indeed, it is the only thing. The power elite intend to win. My research has shown at this point, the future laid out for us may be just as impossible to change. I do not agree with the means by which the powerful few have chosen for us to reach the end. I do not agree that the end is where we should end at all. But unless we can wake the people from their sleep, nothing short of civil war will stop the planned people from their sleep. Will stop the planned outcome. Pardon me. I base that statement not on defeatism, but on the apathy of the majority of the American people. 25 years ago, I would have believed otherwise. But 25 years ago, I was also sound asleep. We have been taught lies. Reality is not at all what we perceive it to be. We cannot survive any longer by hanging on the falsehoods of the past. Reality must be discerned at all costs if we are to be a part of the future. What's the reality? One reality is it's not fair. The king is the most valuable piece. When the king is gone, the game is over. When they take your kings away, it's over. You know, when you kill off your own men, it's over. At this point, what we want may no longer matter. It is what we must do to ensure our survival that counts. The old way is in the certain process of destruction, and a new world order is beating down the door. To cling to the past is guaranteed suicide. To remain apathetic is assured enslavement. To learn the truth and then act upon it is the only means of survival at this moment. To shrug off the information contained in this book and to disregard its warnings will result in the complete destruction of the Republic of the United States of America. You will never get a second warning or a second chance. Like it or not, this is it. Stark reality. You can no longer turn your head, ignore it, pretend it's not true, say it can't happen to me. Run or hide. The wolf is at the door. This is the part that I want to communicate to you that goes right in alignment with the recent shootings. William Cooper wrote, I fear for the little ones, the innocents, who are already paying for our mistakes. There exists a great army of occupationally orphaned children. They are attending government-controlled daycare centers and latchkey kids who are running wild in the streets. And the lopsided, emotionally wounded children of single welfare mothers, born only for the sake of more money in the monthly check. Open your eyes and look at them. Look at them. For they are the future. Not open your eyes and fuck them, Jada Pinkett. Open your eyes and look at them. For they are the future. In them I see the sure and certain destruction of this once proud nation. In their vacant eyes I see the death of freedom. They carry with them a great emptiness, and someone will surely pay a great price for their suffering. This is what we don't want to deal with. Somebody will pay a great price. Listen, that was an 18-year-old that shot up that school. And it is tragic that 18-year-old shot up that school. It's tragic. But it's tragic in two ways. And it's tragic in two ways. He hurt innocent children. Like, come on. Do you know how bad it makes men feel when they can't protect their children and their family? So the children are unprotected. And this was an 18-year-old who committed that crime. An 18-year-old shot that school up. Look in his eyes, the emptiness in his eyes. He shot his grandmother who was raising him. See, when we get down to the solution, Satan is in the solution, creating chaos and confusion. So we can argue about gun laws. So we can argue about now. What I've noticed is this. I'm going to tell you the solution. The solution is God. That's the solution. There's no two ways about it. God is the solution. And at the end of the day, until we get there, we're going to have a lot of problems. Why? Because when we go to God, God already has a bunch of solutions that we don't even need to debate about. We don't even need to debate them because it's clearly written. You see what I'm saying? The solution is clearly written, and you can go to it. It's no confusion. It says, hey, you shouldn't have sex outside of marriage. It's no conversation. It's clearly written. It's no confusion. It says, it says, you should not get a divorce. You should stay married. There's nothing. It's very clear. The Bible is very clear. But since we strayed away from the Bible, we don't have clarity. And so as we try to search for solutions, we keep going back and forth because we don't have a clear book. We don't have morals. This is called the demoralization of America. Everybody everybody is like a little demigod. Everybody wants to be God. It's like people are upset that they can't come up with their own solution. The solution is already there. It's like, what? Like, we feel the need to create, and so we want to create, and it becomes an ego trip when you realize that everything you want to create has already been created. Now what do? All of these books that want to give out marriage advice, all of these books, all of these advice books. What if we didn't need nothing but 3 or 4 books? The Bible, the Quran, your holy scriptures. What if those was the only books we ever needed? Why do we need to regurgitate it over and over again? Because we want to be God. We want to be God. Which means that we are going to run into a problem. Because we're going to keep trying to reinvent the wheel. We're going to keep trying to act like we're saying something new. And we're not saying nothing new. And we don't have these issues that we have. They don't come from the issue itself. It's just like if you go to the hospital for high blood pressure or something like that. You know what they're going to tell you. Hey, now that you got high blood pressure, this is impacted, this is impacted, this is impacted. So now you have symptoms of high blood pressure. And if you say, I got high blood pressure, I want to, my gums bleeding, I want to do this, and that. That's not going to change the fact that you have high blood pressure, because what you're doing is you looking at a problem and you saying, I want to correct the problem. My gums bleeding, I want to fix my gums. Whatever problems come with high blood pressure. Then the doctor says all of those problems will go away, but you have to tend to your overall health. You can't just look at your gums, or you can't just look at your hair loss, or you can't just look at your headaches and say, I want to get rid of the headache. Then you take an Advil for the headache. The headache never goes away because the source of the headache is not a headache. It's your high blood pressure. These conversations are important when we talk about problems versus solutions. Because so many people are saying, let's get rid of guns. Let's do this. Let's do that. We're not even addressing the fact that these people have no love in their heart. They come from broken homes. They have no moral compass. They have no one to guide them, to teach them. And we expect to change the problem. So this is what you call suppression, where you don't actually want to change the problem. You just want to suppress it with some quick fix. I want to find something. I'm going to take a brief intermission. Let me find what I want to show you.
I have some suggestions. How it approaches. But behind it, I will continue my own walking up. Listen carefully.
This is for my favorite band, the human beings, the faithful, the graceful, the tragic, the classic, the evidence of things unseen, the book of light, the mansions of the moon, the bones of fit own, recently discovered in everything but no, the doubt is doubts about it, never made it untrue. Life, the gift, peace out the pressure, can't remember how you came and went better how you exit from the start. The only thing certain is the end. Promise to all and unknown, not when. Heartbreak from yesterday and fret for tomorrow. I leave you now filled with anxiety and hollow. If you pray, don't worry. If you worry, don't pray. My homie told it to me just the other day. From the tall castle walls to the mean teeth streets. I hope you get what you want and that you want what you need. Amen.
Life is beautiful, even when the world is whack. So much beauty we forget to be reminded that you could be everywhere and find it. Try it, promise I'm not lying. Try it.
And if you don't see in your environment, then take a look inside it.
Try it, you could be anywhere and find it. Promise I'm not lying.
Riders of the storm, wise enough to warn the people about the evil that be going on. Way before the money gone, money is the root of, you know the rest, really the love of it. Got you invested in your death, I stay torn, cause I'm live in the flesh. They make computer music, they try to make a copy of me, the computer blew it. They raised in the age of the Enlightenment, but little did they know that they were slaves to their environment. The doggone tribes of the stars without telescopes. When you have no God, you start selling folks. I tried telling folks the attitude was bellicose. There's so much more in life to rap about than selling coke. You can tell that it's dope because I'm squad official. They irrelevant because their intelligence is artificial. The scar tissue on my face tell the folklore. We launch missiles into space to fight the Cold War. Starlight, star bright, get the arc right. Put my story on the screen at the arc light. Steer clear of the beast and the troglodytes. Trying to start a fight with them, the say all the nights. We got the flow, the culture vultures try to copyright, but they copy wrong. We are not alike.
Life is beautiful, even when the world is whack. So much beauty we forget to be reminded that you could be everywhere and find it. Try it, promise I'm not lying. Try it.
And if you don't see in your environment, then take a look inside it.
Try it, you could be anywhere and find it. Promise I'm not lying. Try it.
Yes, the world is whack, but life is beautiful. You can live a beautiful life in a whack world, I promise you. Let's get to the side. If you live in a beautiful life, it don't make a difference how whack the world is. The problem is not living in the world, the problem is letting the world live in you. We always gonna fly high.
So let's deal with this. Let's deal with this. It says, but mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. Hold on, let me get my. Boom, there we go. But mark this, there will be terrible times in the last days. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. This is what I'm talking about when I say that when we talk about these type of situations, What if you only needed 4 books? You know what I'm saying? Or what if you only needed 12 books, which is all text from God rewritten? But because man is lover of self, we have to continuously try to recreate the will, because we're battling with the fact that that everything that we want to create. This is why here goes the other part of the scripture: having a form of godlessness, but denying its power, have nothing to do with them. It says, they are the kind who worm their way into the homes and gain control over weak-willed women who are loaded down with sins and are swayed by all kinds of evil desires, always learning but never able to acknowledge the truth. Here we go. This is why everything becomes important, because how can one be always learning but never acknowledge the truth? Because God is the truth. And until you acknowledge God, you have no truth. Now, if you just now getting here, I'm talking about what happened in Texas. And I'm just going back to the text where it says, I'm really sad for the children who have no love in their heart, because they're latchkey children. They was born without love. They don't have a family. This 18-year-old that killed somebody, this dude was raised by his grandmother. He doesn't have his parents. He killed his grandmother. I feel sorry for the shooter, and I feel sorry for the family. And I feel sorry for the state of the world. The fact that we have made these strides and there is this much lack of love. God operates in peace and clarity. And going to the Bible gives us clarity on codes of conduct. The devil operates in chaos. That's why it says having a form of having a form of godliness, not godlessness. Pardon me. But it's godlessness going on as well. It says, just as Jannes and Jambres opposed Moses, so also these men oppose the truth. Men of depraved minds, who, as far as the faith is concerned, are rejected. But they will not get very far, because as in the case of those men, their folly will be clear to everyone. You, however, know all about my teaching, my way of life, my purpose, faith, patience, love, endurance, persecution, suffering. What kinds of things happened to me in Antioch? The persecutions I endured, yet the Lord rescued me from all of them. In fact, everyone who wants to live in a godly way in Christ Jesus will be persecuted. That's why we have to discuss the fact that people are cowards. I spoke about this earlier. In Afghanistan, you got to commend them because they was willing to die for what they believe in. And we talk about these 6 fears that people live with, the 6 basic fears. In the war between good and evil, it's the 6 basic fears that the devil preys on to get you off course and get you on the devil's agenda. While evil men and imposters will go from bad to worse, deceiving and being deceived. But as for you, continue in what you have learned and have become convinced of, because you know those from whom you learned it, and how from infancy you have known the Holy Scriptures, which are able to make you wise for salvation through faith in Christ Jesus. All Scripture is God-breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness, so that the man of God may be thoroughly equipped for every good work. This is what we just talked about. We just said basically it's useful for teaching everything. Is for rebuking, teaching, correcting, training in righteousness, for good work. So it's letting you know, hey, all you need is this book. All you need is these scriptures. That's it. That's wonderful. And it says that it trains you in righteousness, which means that when it's godliness, when it's chaos, there's nothing for you to fall back on. Who said who's right? When you have an issue, who's right in a godly when things are godless, when things are ran by Satan? You could be transgender, you could be gay, you can get 5 divorces, you can shoot people, you can sleep with animals, you can be an animal. Everything goes when it's godlessness. The only thing that doesn't go with Satan is good works. If you want to raise your family, and maybe somebody can attest to this, if you want to raise your family and you want to do good by your family, next thing you know, a bunch of people will be popping in saying negative stuff while you're trying to do the right thing by your family. And you sitting there thinking to yourself, hold on, I'm doing good work. Why would they tell my wife she need to go to work? She like being at home with the children. Why would they tell me that I need to give my children over to the school system? I homeschool my children. Why would they tell me? Why? Because you're doing good work. How is it that have you ever seen a dysfunctional gay relationship on television marketed and promoted to you? No. But very rarely do you see a functional, loving marriage on television. They never show you a man on television on a sitcom having sex with his wife, running his household, and being a man's man. The closest we got to it is one of my favorite shows, Last Man Standing. But outside of that, Al Bundy would never screw his wife. It wasn't a whole lot of love. He was a couch potato, right? All of these things this is how the average relationship is depicted as highly dysfunctional. But when we go to look at these other relationships that are wrong in God's eyes, not Q's eyes, those things are uplifted like, oh, they just have so much fun. They're lovely together. What a great show. And so we see that there's a war. And if you out there and you trying to do good, you will see that there's a war against you trying to do good if you are doing good works. And I think that when he said we will be persecuted, you have to be willing to die for what you believe in. That's what it really boils down to. That's where we're going. And I'm going to tell you something right now about all of these killings and stuff. People never talk about the manifesto. It's the same way they condemned Donald Trump. They condemned Donald Trump. Then you find out everything that he was saying, almost everything was true. The truth don't care who tell it. And the truth don't care whether your feelings hurt or not. But if you want to know, like I said, the problem is not, identifying the problem. We all know the problem. We don't want our children getting shot. We want to stop that. But when it gets to the solution, that's when we start dealing with the devil. Did you see how these women talked about Kevin Samuels? I mean, they talked about him like a dirty dog. They said it was karma, all of this shit, all because he told them the truth. And so the pushback for telling the truth is persecution. That's the truth that's the penalty for being a child of God and being willing to stand for what you believe in. Does that mean you have to be persecuted? No. But if you stand up and you speak, my daughter made this background, by the way. For real. It's hot. Appreciate it, Joe. But somebody interrupted my stream. So here go the 6 basic fears. Let's pull them up right now, because this is how the devil gets you on his agenda. Okay? This is how the devil gets you on his agenda. Let's deal with the first fear. The first fear is the fear of poverty. The fear of poverty is both the most destructive and the hardest to master of the 6 fears. The second is the fear of criticism. The third is the fear of ill health. They literally just shut down the country for 2 years. 2 years based off this fear. And people said they believe in God. And for people that say they believe in God, this is what I say to you. If you pray, don't worry. If you worry, don't pray. Because if you worry, that means you don't believe in your prayers, so you might as well stop. The way the devil operates, and I'm going to read it to you in a second, but the way the devil operates is on your weaknesses, not your strengths. The devil says, oh, they're lovers of money. Let me break them down this way. Oh, they're afraid of ill health. I'll break them down that way. Oh, they're afraid to lose love. I'll break them down that way. They're afraid of old age. I just seen Rich and Shameless last night. A billionaire clothing designer spent the latter half of his life fighting old age. The fear of death. Oh, they're afraid of death? Man, let me pull the camera on myself. A time that I had to grab my nuts in life was when I was with doctors, and doctors kept talking about the possibility of death. And I'm like, hold up. God made a woman's body to give birth. We did our research. We have a midwife. And now you want to bully me with the threat of death. And who has a higher God complex than doctors and lawyers and people like this? And I had to grab my nuts and say, no, I don't care about your death threats. I'm going to do what I need to do. And so this is the way that we're being controlled every time. And we have to wisen up. And this is where the gullibility of women come in. And it's always funny to see, because you wasn't here in the beginning with me. Whoever this is, drop something in the comment section, man, so I can know who I'm on with. I would love to have a dialogue with y'all. Let me share the link. But this is where things become very interesting, right? I dropped the link in the chat. This is where things become very interesting. We live pretty much in a day and time in which we cannot convince our women of how gullible they are. Women always talk about wanting to lead. You wasn't here in the beginning, but it says that the elites only care about power. The elites only care about winning. And when you play in a game of chess, if the king is out, the game is over. The only objective is to get the king. Why do you need to get the king? Because the king is the most powerful piece. The king is really the reason why the king can make a very selected amount of moves on the board is because, God damn it, if you got to the point where you got to be running on the chessboard, that means you haven't exhausted all of your options as a king in the proper way. Now you're under attack. So a big part of being a king is learning how to use your pieces. But here's the other thing. In real life, we not always under attack necessarily making these moves like on the chessboard. But the point is that as the king, when you're dead, everybody's dead. Everybody. You can have 13 pieces on the board, and if the king is captured, the game is over. So what's very interesting about what they said, it says they are the kind who worm their way into homes and gain control over gullible women. These women really think they can run something. And when things go bad, they think they could just pass it back over to us and we'll just hop right in and take over. But the truth of the matter is, only weak men ever fell for the fact that women could run something in the first place. We talking about being gullible. So how does this gullibility show up? You know, one of the main ways to get a woman to acquiesce? Fear. Fear mongering. How many women were fighting for all the lockdowns and shutdowns during COVID? The men was like, hell no, it don't make no sense. Who got Donald Trump out of office? Girly men and women. Real men didn't get Donald Trump out of office because we agreed, let's get back to work. Everybody get back to life as usual. You had people literally trapped in their houses, mainly women trapped in their houses, afraid of the coronavirus. If that's not gullibility, and then you got to take this into account. What else happened when that happened? The She Session. So what does that mean? It means that women were perfectly okay with resigning from their jobs and taking government assistance. Most women was okay with that. This is the gullibility. When men are saying, let's move forward, let's not get distracted by this virus and make our country weaker, the women are in the market arguing, and girly men, where's your mask at? You got family members, you can't even talk to them. They won't get nowhere close to you because they don't want to die. If you pray, don't worry. If you worry, don't pray. That don't mean be stupid, but you're going to put on 3 masks. I've seen people with a mask on driving in their car. I've seen people wearing a mask driving in their car with nobody else around them. If you pray, don't worry. If you worry, don't pray. And the way that the devil is working is that people think they're not gullible. But when it comes to these 6 fears, people fold. The fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of loss of love, the fear of old age, the fear of death makes people gullible. And once again, we just seen this when it comes to the coronavirus, which is what I'm talking about. Shout out to everybody in the building with me, man. Y'all drop a 1 in the chat if y'all liking what I'm putting down right now. And so this is why we can't have women in leadership, because most women fold under pressure. Women are not fighters, and I don't think they should be. I'm okay with that. One of the reasons why women enjoy peace is because during peace, they create chaos. And one of the reasons why men don't appreciate it but understand the necessity of war is because war is inevitable when your women are out of control. your women are going to bring you to war, because the first people they're going to enact the war on is you. This could be seen in the Bible. That's why so many people having problems. That's why you see everything going on in the divorce courts and things of that nature, because there's a war between men and women. There's always been a war between men and women, but in times of war, there is no war between men and women, because the women get back in a position real quick because they know that they're not fighters. It's not common that you get women that submit to men when it's times of long periods of peace. It's very rare. Most women during periods of peace, this is in the Bible. Why do I say that? Because I don't want you to fall under the assumption that this is some new idea, that this is some new way that things have been. Things have always been like this. It's always been a matter of when things was peaceful and Adam and Eve was in the garden, she had to go. So we talk about the other side of gullibility, which is greed, right? Greed is a part of gullibility, but more so than greed, it's the fear. And greed and fear really come from the same things, right? You're greedy because you're fearful that you won't have enough. Let me take on as much as I could take, because I don't think it's going to be more there later. And so at the end of the day, this is the solution is God. And until we get back to that, we're going to continue to be in a state of confusion. What happened to those children is a tragedy, and we can't reverse the hands of time. If we could, we would. So then what do we do moving forward? And this is why when I first started reading the book and he says this, I believe the end is here. Why did he say he believed the end was here, babe? Because of the apathy of American people. The apathy, that is the demoralization. The end is near because of the apathy. And what is the apathy? The apathy is not in what happened. The apathy is in the solution. Too many people have bad habits that they don't want to change. Too many people have points of view that they don't want to change. And because they don't want to change those points of view, the problem is not that they don't want to change the points of view that's creating the solution. The problem is going to persist. This is why in Timothy, they said, stop hanging out with non-believers. Because it doesn't matter. If you a believer and you talking to non-believers, you might as well not be talking, because it's like talking to a wall. You trying to change people's point of view. They don't believe in God. They're not willing to change their ways for God. They're not willing to get over the love of self. They're not willing to get over the love of money. So now you might as well not cash your pearl on swine. We know these things. We know these things. And so it's like Steve Kerr got up on stage and he's like spazzing out. Everybody's tired of it. But that's the devil's plan. The devil's plan is to get you exhausted, searching for solutions, and then they come in as an alleged savior. Yo, we about to go into this next segment. Before we get into it, because I'm gonna reveal some of the devil's plan. Before we get into it, man, I got this joint I want to play off the new Black Star, man, and we're gonna get back in it.
This one is
Let's go.
real hot.
Bismillah.
Welcome to the Black Star.
Joint plane, coin of the realm, both sides. Racks. Such powerful current could make tears touch the eyes. Facts. Grace for every morning, God opened up mine and thine. Alhamdulillah. We all on notice that any next moment could be the last time you stand on this side. So that son, you're killing them, but only the phony because the real don't die. All God, all good for all hoods and pilots.
Demagogy.
Challenges. Top ranked up, you can't
Look
get
it up.
and the balance don't break for any large or small bank balances. The parable of the talented, each generation. The wonders in the wealth of our nation. It's really chump change once you take into consideration. Live in revelation. No soul can escape from. So go on, let us suck and say something. Even when it's saying something, they ain't saying much. I refrain from the thoughts I just pray for. Stay away from. Roll through a ride race on them. Bang, shine a camel bay on them. Still alive, for life is life is something. Life is one. King said, even when we die, we will not stay dead. And it said what it says it is. The light is not afraid of the dark at all. That part, Black Star. I want to thank you for helping me reach the understanding. The time is relative and the truth is everlasting. I want to thank you for helping me reach the understanding. The time is relative but the truth is everlasting.
This one is real hot.
That's on God. Black Star Embassy. Getting paid independent like Cinnamon Nouveau. Like it travels in my journal like Robinson Crusoe. Number Bloom, no Daniel Defoe. Encyclopedia of botanical flow. The gravity to pull a planet straight insanity that busts open your cantaloupe flow. Be the lines where the antelope roll. Work with the tendons, garters and stick the bodies with their hands in their coat. Give up the goods on their hands in your throat. So she wrote, now we walk, right? I'm making it plain and talk to one. Accepting all the doors, perception to walk for them. They think I'm arguing, I'm not talking to them, I'm talking to them. Way too many garbage humans, they raw sewage. Ashes to ashes, to dust to dust. We going bashes, fascists, put them up. It's the parable of the challenge, the powerful is the caliber. My birthday is a holiday, mark it down on your calendars. YouTube, they feeding us through a catheter. About to holla at Yasin, the moon Africa. Spectacular, false assassination character. Brooklyn got the best rappers per capita. Yeah, no lies protected. You pull it out, you better buy the weapon. Measure influence by the lives protected. Writing records, getting high for breakfast. I crashed for lunch, but I survived the record. But till the time was alive, cause I received the message. Heeded the lesson, cause I needed the blessing. Gave up the glory, the lies of these, made up a story. I stood up for the people, I ain't waiting till they came for me. Solidarity, and that's on God.
I want to thank you for helping me reach the understanding. The time is relative and the truth is everlasting. I want to thank you for helping me reach the understanding. The time is relative but the truth is everlasting.
Let's get back into it. Now, let me outline the devil's plan for you, because a lot of people are going to say, Q, you making this up. What you saying? This is a war of good and evil, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to say, Q, you making this up. So let me reveal the devil's plan to you. It says, it is indispensable for our purpose that wars, so far as possible, should not result in territorial gains. War will thus be brought onto the economic ground, where the nation will not fail to perceive in the assistance we give the strength of our predominance. And this state of things will put both sides at the mercy of our international agenda, which possesses millions of eyes ever on the watch and unhampered by any limitation whatsoever. Our international rights will then wipe out national rights in the proper sense of the right, and will rule the nations precisely as the civil law of states rules the relationship of their subjects among themselves. The administrators whom we shall choose from among the public with strict regard to their capacities for servile disobedience will not be persons trained in the arts of government, and will therefore easily become pawns in our game in the hands of men of learning and genius, who will be their advisors, specialists bred and reared from early childhood to rule the affairs of the whole world. So they basically said they're going to put somebody incompetent in office, and they're going to be in the background as puppet masters. That's basically what they just said. It says, let me read it again. The administrators whom we shall choose from among the public with strict regard to their capacities for servile obedience will not be persons trained in the arts of government, and will therefore easily become pawns in our game in the hands of men, of learning and genius, who will be their advisors. So what are they telling us now? Don't look at the person in the front, look at their advisors. Specialists bred and reared from early childhood to rule the affairs of the whole world. As is well known to you, these specialists of ours have been drawing to fit them for rule the information they need from our political plans, from their lessons of history, from observations made of the events of every moment as it passes. The non-Jewish are not guided by practical use of unprejudiced historical observation, but by theoretical routine without any critical regard for our consequent results. Did you hear that? That's heavy. It says, the non-Jewish have no appreciation for practical things. We deal primarily in theory, which is what has us messed up. I'll read it again. It says, as is well known to you, these specialists of ours have been drawing to fit them for rule the information. Sometimes the ink is written bad, pardon me. They need from our political plans, from the lessons of history, from observations made of the events of every moment as passes. The non-Jewish are not guided by practical use of unprejudiced historical observation. The non-Jewish are not guided by practical use of basically unbiased historical data. So when Kevin Samuels gets up there and he says women are causing all the divorces, it's not the men, then people say, oh, he hate women because he pointed out the historical facts. It can't be debated. And then it says, we need not therefore take any account of them. Let them amuse themselves until the hour strikes, or live on hopes of new forms of enterprising pastimes, or on the memories of all they have enjoyed. They said, we don't care what you do. For them, let that play the principal part which we have persuaded them to accept as the dictates of science. Remember, we talk about God. We just said that people have knowledge, have information, but no truth, because these people are not led by God. They say now, what do they tell us? They say, believe the scientists, believe the science. It is with this object in view that we are constantly, by means of our press, arising a blind confidence in these theories. I don't think people understand what I'm saying. This is the devil. No. This is the Protocols of Zion. This is what the devils wrote. These are the devils speaking. This is not William Cooper speaking. It says, it is with this object in view, that we are constantly, by means of our press, arousing a blind confidence in these theories. A blind confidence. People are blind about abortion. They're blind about sex education. They're blind about the vaccine. They're blind about so many things, and they're confident because of the media. But that's just one aspect. Blind confidence is one aspect. The other aspect, which they're going to talk about, is confusion. Because it's one thing to have blind confidence, and then it's another thing to throw your hands up and say, I don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know left from right, right from left. You do know, but you can only know if you rely on God. Because if you start relying on common sense, guess who you run up against? Scientists. They'll say, what you mean human beings wasn't meant to be homosexuals? Dolphins are homosexuals. You know the man G-spot is in his anus. They start saying all of these things. The scientists pervert your mind. You know you can't procreate. A man and a man, a woman and a woman. They asked the woman in Supreme Court. They said, what is a woman? That Ketanji Brown, she said, I can't say what a woman is. You would have to talk to a scientist. Yeah, come on. This is where we are. So one is blind confidence. The other is confusion. But these are tactics of the devil. That's the point. When shit don't add up, you know the devil's involved. It says, it is with this object. It says, the intellectuals of the non-Jewish will puff themselves up with their knowledge, and without any logical verification of it, will put into effect all the information available from science, which our agenda specialists have cunningly pieced together for the purpose of educating their minds in the direction we want. You do know they telling you a lie. They have the power to. They have the power to. They only have the power that we give them by being stupid. It says, I didn't even know they was going to say this about the science, but believing the science, we know that's bullshit. Babe, the Protocols of Zion, look it up. Tell me when it was written. That's why I want to do the live show with you, because really stuff that I want you to pull up stuff while I talk. You know what I'm saying? But the Protocols of Zion was, I want to say, was written in the 1700s, the 1800s. You see what I'm saying? The 1800s. This was written. Tell me if I'm wrong. It was published in 1905. It was written before then.
The protocols maintain that the document was read at the first Zionist Congress held in 1897.
Thank you. This document was, the Protocols of Zion was written in 1897. Okay? People don't understand that this is something believed in the science that's been going on since the 1800s. That's not new. This is the devil's plan. And when you get people in front of you that say things that's obviously false, you should call them out on it, because that's the God in you. The God in you should be able to recognize the evil in these people. And a lot of us do. But it says, do not suppose for a moment that these statements are empty words. Think carefully of the success we arranged for Darwinism, Marxism, Nietzscheism. To us Jews, at any rate, it should be plain to see what at disintegrating importance these directives have had upon the minds of the non-Jewish. It is indispensable for us to take account of the thoughts, characters, tendencies of the nation in order to avoid making slips in the political and in the direction of administrative affairs. The triumph of our system, of which component parts of the machinery may be variously disposed according to the temperament of the peoples met on our way, will fail of success if the practical application of it be not based upon summing up of the lessons of the past in the light of the present. Sometimes they write crazy, but this was written in 1895. In the hands of the states of today, there's a great force that creates the movement of thought in the people. Let's go. There's a great force that creates the movement of thought in the people, and that is the press. That part played by the press is to keep pointing out requirements supposed to be indispensable to give voice to the complaints of the people, to express and create discontent. It is in the press that the triumph of freedom of speech finds its incarnation. But the non-Jewish states have not known how to make use of this force, and it has fallen into our hands. Through the press, we have gained the power to influence while remaining ourselves in the shade. Thanks to the press, we have got the gold in our hands, notwithstanding that we have had to gather it out of oceans of blood and tears, out of oceans of blood and tears. Now, when I just started, I said, only thing they care about is winning. They don't care about your children. They don't care about the aftermath of the chaos and the psychological warfare that they waged on the families, ideological warfare. But it has paid us. Though we have sacrificed many of our people, each victim on our side is worth in the sight of God 1,000 non-Jewish. This is what you're up against. They willing to die for what they believe in, these evil people. They said that one of theirs dying is worth 1,000 non-Jewish dying. So when we look at what's going on in Texas, we have to understand there's a war between good and evil. That's the reality of the situation. And that when we talk about blind confidence and confusion, the problem is that it's not the blind confidence or the confusion. It's the fact that people are lovers of themselves. They're lovers of pleasure. And so nobody's willing to interrupt their pleasure in order to deal with real issues. People want to keep living in their bubble and thinking that it's not going to happen to them, that is not their problem. Everybody that got children that go to that school didn't think it was things that was going on in the world was their problem. Now something happened to them. A lot of them going to become politicians and create campaigns and get out here and talk about gun violence. A lot of them going to do that because it happens when you experience a tragedy. You know, I worked with Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and it's a lot of people that get killed from drunk drivers, and one of the family members will end up becoming a advocate and working with the organization, which is a good thing to work with the organization. But the problem is, if everybody just wait till it happened to them, then it's too late because it already happened to you. And that love of pleasure, basically the love of comfort, stops you from getting things done that you need to get done to prevent these things from happening. And one of the biggest assets that the devil has is confusion. That's like one of the biggest assets. Confusion. You got to think about it. Like, people really have no love in their heart. People are really, we talk about mental illness. Most people don't have mental illness that claim mental illness. Most people have an emotional illness. That's what most people suffering from. Most people are emotionally beat down. And because they are emotionally beat down, it manifests itself in the mind. 75% of your body is water. And emotions basically is water, energy and motion. When people don't have a broad spectrum of emotion, when they haven't learned how to deal with their emotions, but when they haven't had anything poured into them, these are our children. Where are they going to get the love from if they don't get it from their parents? Who poured into the child to create a good person? So if nobody poured into the child to create a good person, how can we just expect a good person to come out? Like I said this a long time ago, our children are a litmus test for how we doing as a society. If kids feel safe to go outside and play and run around the neighborhood, we living in a good society. If kids can't go past their house because of fear, because you don't know your neighbors, because of fear that something might happen to them, then we know we're dealing with a sick society when our children can't play and enjoy life like a lot of us did, because we're concerned about rapists and all of this other stuff and crime. The children are the litmus test. Now your child is, growing up with all of these emotional gashes, all these big emotional holes, and a lot of this stuff can only be addressed by God at this point. These emotional gashes can only be addressed by God at this point, because most therapists don't come with the real stuff. And so you go there and you end up just needing more therapy. You end up going to therapy, leaving with more problems than you came with. That's what happened to a lot of relationships that go to couples therapy, because the therapist is not guided by God. So they're not looking at the Bible, rebuking the woman. You go to a therapist. What's the best form of therapy? The truth. The best form of therapy is the truth. Because once you got the truth, you can move forward and begin to be productive and to begin to repair yourself. But if I tell you, hey, you got a problem, and then I give you a bunch of pseudo solutions, you're just going to be spinning in circles. You're never going to solve the problem that you actually have. And in the process, you're going to create more problems. These are universal laws. Okay, you're a diabetic. You got to watch your sugar intake, but I'm going to give you a pill. Now you eating sugar, you taking the pill, you haven't changed your habits. So the problem is your habits, but like I said, the litmus test for us as a society is our children. And when you got these parents not staying together, raising these children, you can see it. You can see it. And everything that's going on, man, is very unfortunate. Damn. You know what else they said that I thought was very deep? They talked about the level of pain that they would cause. And in them causing that level of pain, you're going to look for a savior. This is when they are able to come in with their agenda. They're able, that's the fear. All the pain that they causing, it makes people say, yo, I'm under a lot of stress. Somebody please help me. Then you run to your politician. Then you run to some man. And you say, can you please help me? And they say, no. Then you leave. Can you please help me? No. That's what's happening right now with the gas prices. They don't say no deliberately. They don't say no deliberately. What do they say? The reason the gas prices are so high is because, you know, we really need to start going green. You like, all I want is the solution that I know is needed. And they say, no, that's not the solution. We need to go green. So you're going to feel the pain even more. That's why you go to them, they say you need to go green. You come back, you're like, the gas is $5.50 now. They're like, you need to go green. You go back, the gas $6. We need to go green. Next thing you know, which is written in the Protocols of Zion, it's a mob of people in the street, pissed off because it's becoming overwhelming. It's becoming overbearing now. I'm spending $10,000 a year. The average American spends $5,000 a year on gas, which is crazy. But people now double that up. People paying $10,000 a year for gas. And that's when people lose it because it's too unreasonable. So they're like, you know what? I'm in the streets about this. I'm going to tear some shit up. That's a part of their plan as well. That's a part of their plan as well. Let me tell you what is not a part of their plan. What is not a part of their plan is God and God's people working together. That's not a part of their plan. See, as long as you are in their system, as long as you are trying to commingle with these individuals, you're going to be caught up in that life. This is the problem. The solution is God and God's people getting together. The solution is not marching the street for lower gas prices. Because when God people get together, they can raise the gas to $6.50. We say, hey, you know what? We got my man Luke over here. Luke, we'll carpool. So we only paying. That's how we roll it. That's how we need to be rolling anyways. We all go. Why everybody need their own everything? That's lovers of self. You need your own, you know, like everything. You need your own car. You need your own TV. You need your own everything. Okay. Not a problem. Not a problem. That's how you want to live. Everybody can live how they want to live. But now you don't get to complain when the devil apply the pressure and have you like frogs in a boiling pot. You don't get to complain. And you don't, and you can reach out, but you notice that people, when you reach out, they don't have any, they like, nah, I'm not fucking with dude. I'm not fucking with this phony baloney ass nigga. He only come around when he needs something. When he got something, you don't see him. This is what's going on. They applying the pressure. You gonna go, people gonna revolt in a minute. People gonna lose their shit in a minute. Then they gonna pacify you and keep moving ahead with their plan. So you got to get on God's time. You got to get on God's plan or suffer. And when we talk about getting on God's plan, we have to be willing to make the sacrifice. You might have to take your kids out of school to protect them. When we start talking, man, people see my children, they say, man, they have such a great spirit without me saying anything. Well, we spend time with our children. We pour into our children. We making a sacrifice. Making money is easy. It's not hard to make money. Go get a fucking job. Work 60 hours a week. Anybody can get money. But sometimes you can't be a lover of money. Sometimes you got to make a different sacrifice. Sometimes you got to sacrifice. You got to sacrifice money. You got to put the time in so you can get what you want in terms of the love that you want your children to have. And then you have faith that God will show you a way, will make a way for you and your family to continue to provide the type of lifestyle that you need. And God always makes a way. When we said we wanted to travel in the RV, 2020, we was already planning on leaving. Next thing you know, COVID, we getting a check. So now we ain't even got to worry about it. We get to travel and get a check. But before that, I was like, man, I really got to start working remote. I really got to get a job remote. As soon as those checks stopped coming, I was scared. I was like, man, I'm going to have to change my lifestyle. Whoopty, whoopty, whoop. God said, no, this is what you and your family need. Here goes a remote job. I stressed out about it. If you pray, don't worry. If you worry, don't pray. I stressed out about it. I was like, damn, I need to get this job working remote. How am I going to do that? Then an opportunity came. So you have to walk in faith. You have to be willing to make the sacrifice. Who's to say you can't be a millionaire? Who's to say you can't completely just have financial success? All these limitations we put on ourselves, and then we force ourselves to do things that we know are not good for us because we wasn't moving in good faith. We were not moving, believing that we will have a breakthrough. And we are all guilty of it. But the point is that you might have to make some sacrifices if you really want to protect your family from these evil forces. Because it says the moment the mob seizes freedom in its hands, it's quickly turned to anarchy, which in itself is the highest degree of savagery. I'm telling you, they already know that y'all going to get into savagery. They already know y'all going to kill each other. They already know that you're going to go burn down, break into the Gucci store. They already understand these things. What did they say? Let me show you. I think it was on this page about the wages. The wise men of the wise men of Zion. I know what they said. I just want to quote it right. But they talk about the price of living rising, and then people complaining about, and then people raising their wages. But it doesn't matter, because the fact that prices are rising and you complaining about your wages automatically speaks to the fact that we have massive inflation. Why can't a dollar buy you what it used to buy you? Because every time the dollar is diluted, it's never getting stronger. Has anybody noticed the dollar has never gotten stronger? It just continues to wither away, like what 5 cents used to be worth. What you could get with 5 cents, you ain't never been able to get that with 5 cents ever again. It's not coming back. 95 cents for gas. And people say, oh, yeah, the dollar got stronger. You got to put the dollar up against the products that you're buying. But people going to complain for higher wages when it doesn't even matter, because the point that the dollar is getting diluted means that our country is being taken over by central banks off the gold standard. That means that we are slowly being demoralized. We slowly being broken down. We slowly being broken down. So we haven't even spoke about what's going on in China. Them pushing a line for Taiwan. We haven't even spoke about it. But people should have known people should have known that after 2020, all these people buying these houses, they should have known that something was going to come sooner or later that was going to be devastating, and all of these things was going to be given back. They pushing the line on Taiwan right now, and Biden, with his decrepit ass, just came out talking about we will go to war. So we have to understand, ladies and gentlemen, that we got to get on the side of God. We have to. You don't have to be perfect, but if you keep running to the devil for solutions, the dollar keep diluting. That's how the devil operate. That's what they said. Men to give up. A lot of people talk about I won't sell my soul. A lot of motherfuckers already sold their soul for pennies on the dollar. You talk about I wouldn't sell my soul to the Illuminati. I wouldn't sell my soul to be in Jay-Z position. I wouldn't sell my soul to be in J. Cole position. A lot of y'all already sold your soul for pennies on the dollar. You already sold out. That's why you can't get together and do nothing, because you already sold your soul out to those six basic fears that human beings have. It says, we appear on the scene as alleged saviors of the worker from this oppression when we propose to him to enter the ranks of our fighting forces, to whom we always give support in accordance with an alleged brotherly rule. The aristocracy, which enjoyed by law the labor of the workers, was interested in seeing that the workers were well fed, healthy, and strong. We are interested in just the opposite. The diminution, the killing out of the non-Jewish. Our power is in the chronic shortness of food and physical weakness of the worker, because all that this implies, he has made the slave of he is made the slave of our will, and he will not find in his own authorities either strength or energy to set against our will. Hunger creates the right of capital to rule the worker more surely than it was given to the aristocracy by the legal authority of kings. That's why they always say it's a difference in the slavery that people had in, overseas versus the slavery in America, because the slavery overseas, they still wanted you to be well fed. They treated their slaves differently. Here they treat us crazy, right? Anyways, man, it's the same story over and over again. It doesn't change. It's just about making the choice. I haven't been on in a minute. It's a lot of topics that's been surfacing, and all I can say is that you got to get away from the hearsay. You got to get away from the hearsay. Certain things I think about talking about, I don't talk about them because it's hearsay. For example, Jordan Peterson says something about the lady on the cover of Sports Illustrated. That's hearsay. Talking about Bronny James going to the prom with a white girl. That's hearsay. You know what goes along with those conversations? Well, if a woman want to be with a white man, it's okay. But if a black man want a white woman, and it's all this old conversation that's all shrouded in chaos. It's all hearsay. If you say this, then it's this, and this, and then what people said in old, it's like bringing up old conversations that have no solution. The boy went to the prom with a white girl. His parents knew he was going. Who gives a flying fuck? The Sports Illustrated, one of the things we got to get out of the space that's feminine in nature is virtue signaling. Y'all motherfuckers love the virtue signal. Well, the lady on Sports Illustrated is a bad example, and you're promoting people being fat. Man, who cares? Who cares? Like, it's a moot point. Anybody that's reading Sports Illustrated, for one, is probably interested in sports. That's the first thing. The second thing is most kids don't read Sports Illustrated. So it ain't like when people make these virtue signaling arguments about polluting the mind of children. Children don't read no fucking Sports Illustrated. And athletes that read that book, or people that's interested in sports, already are probably in shape. So it's a moot point. And to say that the woman is not beautiful is also a moot point, because it's a lot of women. We have to make the distinction. There's a lot of women that's not beautiful in terms of men wouldn't marry them and put a baby in them, but the woman is beautiful enough to sleep with, and most of y'all guys don't discriminate like that. Y'all just be happy to get a girl. So my whole point is this. A lot of things that I think about, speaking about, coming to y'all about is hearsay, man. And as men, we got to move away from hearsay. That was a rhyme. We got to move away from hearsay, because hearsay is chaos. If we want peace of mind, if we want freedom, then we have to move away from hearsay. Like, look, it's plenty of conversations going on out here, gentlemen, that have nothing to do with you improving your life. It has nothing to do with you becoming a better person. Not a better person, but nothing to do with you attaining your goal and what you want to accomplish. It's just another distraction by the evil forces that have us going back and forth about things that don't matter. Anywho's, man, if you would like to support my work, like, share, subscribe, leave a comment below, and we'll be back in here with more videos for y'all. Peace.